Okay, welcome everybody to the BRI. I don't know why my screen is stuck, but it's stuck. We're gonna try to make it happen again. I'm gonna run the second intro and I'm gonna introduce tonight's guest. We're having a little bit of technical difficulty tonight. I don't know what's happening, but we still gonna make it happen.
Hi, this is Tracy Wilson, and you are watching the BRI with my husband, Denoris Wilson.
What's up? What's up? What's up? It's your girl Paulette from Susan, Maryland, and you are watching BRI Black Research Institute with my boy Denoris Wilson. Stay tuned. What's up, world? It's your girl, Latanya Michelle, and I am the owner of Tiger Eyes 360 Media Group, home of Proof Magazine, a Black woman's proof that positive Black men exist. And you are tuned in to Black Research Institute with my boy, Denoris Wilson.
Welcome everybody to the BRI. Once again, my screen is stuck. Hold fast with me for 2 seconds while I refresh and come back on. Will, I got you. Okay, and we're back. As I said, we was experiencing some technical difficulty. I'm back now, and remember, you are now tuned in to the BRI, which is the Black Research Institute, and my name is Denoris Wilson, and we're here and we're committed to solving the problems. I tend to, doing these culture interviews, I tend to try to interview a lot of people in the finance field, whether it be taxes, whether it be credit, mortgages, loans, credit score, whatever. I try to interview more of those caliber of people because I feel like we as a race of people are not financially responsible. And I figured the more that I expose the people that are in that field and who are trying to educate us on how to be financially responsible, the more you hear, the more you tend to at least investigate it and see if it works and see if it's for you. And tonight's guest is no different. He's a young brother. I actually just came upon his Facebook page, man, and I started reading some of the things that he would post. And I was scrolling down, and discovered that he had written a book called Wealth Over Riches. And I downloaded the book. I downloaded the book. I read the book, and I love the book. I love that the brother took the time to do research, and energy and through experience to put his expertise in a in written form so many people can follow his quote unquote financial blueprint. So I'm not going to waste any more time. I'm going to introduce tonight's guest. His name is Will Thomas. What's up, brother?
How you doing? Glad to be here.
I'm you on the BRI. I'm glad that you accepted. So let me first say thank you. So it's customary here on the BRI that we before we start the interview, we ask the guests a couple of questions just to break the ice. So you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, so first of all, are you being safe?
Am I being safe?
Yes, safe.
That's an icebreaker for real. Yeah, I'm being safe. I try to practice safety. I got 2 kids, so the house we have everything. From a safety standpoint, we have the plugs. We got plug covers. Make sure they don't zap themselves. Try to stay on my P's and Q's. Make sure they're not falling, breaking anything. Yeah, that's a tough question. That definitely opened up the door. That's a random question. That's the first time I ever got asked a random question like that.
Well,
I wear my mask in public. I guess that'd be safe.
That's good. Okay, so the next question: are you happy?
Yeah, I'm chasing it. So if some days I can honestly say I am happy. If you read the book, you understand it's about balance, and that quest for balance is everlasting. Like every day, you're gonna have new things you want to do. If you're an ambitious person like myself, and so sometimes you get in your own head, and you get in the way of your own happiness. But at the end of the day, if you breathing, whether you have financial issues or not, if you can wake up and you can breathe, you have a reason to be happy. If you can walk, you can talk, you can breathe, you can touch. If you have your senses, that's it's definitely things to be thankful for.
Okay. All right. Well, we done broke the ice. So now, brother, your name is Will Thomas. So tell the people a little bit about yourself.
So my name is Will Thomas. I was born in North New Jersey. I moved down south to North Carolina when I was 12. I attended Winston-Salem State University, got my undergraduate degree in computer science. From there, I worked at one company for about 10 years. I got my master's degree in IT. Banked on my, it was time to cash in on that master's degree. So I made a big decision to move to a different company. Has been nothing but blessings ever since then. In the meantime, outside of work, I'm an author. I wrote a book called Wealth Over Riches. I'm really passionate about personal finance and helping our people. So anytime I get an opportunity to talk about the book or do a podcast, it's no hesitation. I'm jumping on that because I know it's one thing to read the book, but it's another thing to hear somebody talk about personal finances and talk about their own journey. And that's what really motivates people to do it themselves because they see people that look like them doing it. And so that gives them a reason to actually take the step and do it themselves.
Well, that's the main focus of the BRI. What we try to do is put people on display who are doing things, phenomenal things every day, and going through the same problems like everyone else is going through, the same tribulations, the same ups and downs like everybody else, but they still find a way to make a way.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times we look for inspiration from people who have already made it, right? They've already made it, and when you have that inspiration, when put it this way, if you are inspired by someone because they made it, then that inspiration is sort of, to me, is sort of a wish, right? You wishing. Whereas if you're inspired by somebody that you see actually doing it,
that you actually know,
you can sort of say, well, if he can do that, I can do that.
Yeah, I like that. I'm big into biographies too, because just thinking when you was talking about that, it made me think about Kevin Hart. Right, a lot of people just thought it was like an overnight success when he had that big. He finally had his break when that big stand up went off on Comedy Central. But I read his biography and just thinking about the steps that people go through to get to where they go through. a lot of us are not willing to make them sacrifices. But when we see, and on top of it, we judge the people who already made it too. Even though we want their lifestyle, we kind of judge them, not knowing what it takes to get there. But it's kind of dope that you have people that's in the grind of it, that's not at the goal, talking about the goal, but not there yet. Because then you get to see the struggle, you get to see their persistence too, as you see them get towards the goal. And that's a lot of times what we miss when we look at celebrities. We don't, especially if we don't know them personally, we miss that whole. It takes a lot to be persistent and consistent. It takes a lot.
And missing that is like the major problem, right? You know what I mean? Like it's like you are inspired to build a Mercedes Benz, right? Like you are inspired to build a Mercedes, because you saw the end product of a Mercedes. But how you gonna build it?
Yeah, what you gonna do when you run out of a part that you really need and you don't know where to find it?
You don't find it, you don't know nothing. So it's like, I believe that people who are actually out here doing it every day in the grind, you know, those are the real heroes to me, you know, because they're just like me and they're still making it happen. Right? They're still making it happen. So what made you write the book?
All honesty, it was one of my best friends kind of pushed me to it. Totally different lifestyle as far as financial at the time. Just thinking about it, like, you know how they say you got friends. Like it's the saying, like, you should have 5 friends, like 2 above you, 1 that's near you, and then 2 below you. And those are people that kind of keep you humbled, I guess. And so my friend, me and him grew up in high school together, and he just always asked me these questions, like these same questions over and over. Then I get another friend that asks the same questions. And so it was like, he was like, man, you should just write a book, because we're going to just keep asking you the same questions. You're going to have to keep answering the same thing. And so he kind of pushed me. And so I decided to just like, hey, I'm just going to do this. I could have did the internet entrepreneur thing and just made an online book, charged $20, but I thought it was important to have it in print, have people have their hands on it. Even if you bought it digitally, still have the ability to have your hands on it. I even do like pop-up shops from now and then. And that was like my favorite, honestly, because that's when you really get to meet people. And a lot of times it's like inner city pop-up shops. And so I'm talking to people who, like, the same people that we try to talk to, and you got this podcast for, reaching out people that really, really need it. I could talk about the book all day, but when I'm at that pop-up shop, you get that one-on-one, and they get to understand the passion behind it. They get to feel the passion behind it. And that hopefully that not only gets them to buy the book, but actually take the time to read it and apply it to their own lives. So that's the main gist, man. My friend pushed me, and ever since then it's just been nonstop social media pushing. Just every time I get a thought, I'll put it out there. I have a wealth building community now that kind of spun off the book. Just a different way of trying to help people understand how to better themselves in their personal finances, how to leverage the stock market a little bit better. Of course, again, like any other entrepreneur on the internet, I could have did a course and charged $200, $300, whatever they're charging. But I thought it was important to have that community base. So the education is free. You pretty much paying to be a part of the community where we talk about the stock market all day, on top of giving you opportunities to have one-on-one personal finance consultations and stuff like that. But I think it's important for our people that look like me, to see other people that look like them talk about the stock market, because when I was growing up, we didn't see that. In college, you see it a little bit depending on the major, but even then, we still didn't take advantage of it like we should have, right? And then you're starting to see a shift a little bit. And so that's why I'm really heavy on social media, because you're seeing a lot of people talk about personal finance, and you see a lot of people talk about how to leverage the stock market, how to make money in the stock market, how to make money in crypto, et cetera, et cetera. But I know a lot of people that's missing the wave, and I'm just trying to do my best to keep people adjust to what's going on, and hopefully as many people I know don't miss this wave that's happening.
Well, you know what, man? I try to tell people, or not tell people, but remind people that we are actually 250 years behind.
Yeah.
We're 250 years, but they had a 250-year head start on us.
And then you throw a red line and it makes it even worse.
Right, it makes it worse. So like, progress doesn't happen like overnight.
Yeah. Wealth
Progress,
is not built overnight.
right? Wealth, progress, advancement. None of that happens overnight. All of that is a process.
Yeah.
And so when I see brothers like you, I'm like, understand the process, because when I was younger, I didn't see any brothers like you. So the evolution is happening, right? But because you're in it, you don't feel it.
Yeah.
Right? Like, because you feel it, you're in the evolution, you don't feel the evolution because you don't want to really go back and look at, like, yo, 100 years ago, the stock market, we wouldn't be thinking about no stock market.
We even
And
have access to it.
right,
Yeah.
so, but that's just 100 years ago, though.
Yeah.
And like, you really think about the concept of time, 100 years is nothing.
Yeah.
Right? It's nothing.
Yeah.
But we got to also take into account that we're 250 years behind.
Yeah, we are.
We're playing catch up, and so we got to take these little, small victories, and use them as motivation to keep pushing.
Yeah.
Like, so when I see brothers like you, your young brother, you're in the finance, you're not trying to hold on to your knowledge. Right? You learn something, and you implement it to see if it works. And if it works, you put it out there to the people so that they can, you know, they don't necessarily have to
Right.
how can I say it, ride with you.
Yeah.
They drive their own car.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I like that. So when you, in the book, you said something, you know, it's like changing financial habits. That's the first thing that's in the book, changing financial habits, right? So I want to ask you, why do you think we struggle as a race with finances? Do you think it's the product of improper education, or just the result of, like, us wanting immediate gratification?
I think it's a mix of things, right? Very first thing is lack of education generationally, right? Like you said, we're 250 years behind. It's white folks that don't have the education, right? So if some of them don't have the education, what you think is going to happen on our side, right? And so when people talk about this, it's really generational. Like, we know, especially on the finance level, because they don't teach this in school. You might have like one, you might come across like one class where you might talk about rich dad, poor dad, or you might talk about some economics, but they're not teaching you how to manage a bank account. They're not teaching you about life insurance. They're not teaching you about 401ks and retirement, right? And so a lot of this information is passed down through families. And so that's what you see a lot of wealth, and maintaining the wealth is through generation to generation. And people, like, their parents teaching them what to do with their finances. And then it keeps trickling down. So that's why you see some of the most wealthy people in this world are like wealthy names, like Rockefellers and stuff like that, because this knowledge is passed down. I'm probably gonna take some heat for this, but being in the age that I am and the culture that I grew up, it's hip hop culture, right? And so what I say, I don't. It's bad to say this, but I see it a lot, man. Especially with the younger generation that's younger than me now. It's kind of weird saying that now, right? Hip hop and the flaunting of hip hop has changed the mindset of slow wealth building, right? The majority, I could say this, the majority, um, they they want the Benz, they want the foreign car, they want the big house. The American, and that was already the American dream. Just without even hip hop thrown on top of, that's the American dream. Buy a nice house, drive a nice car, do whatever you gotta do to do it, right? And most people, what you gotta do, you gotta work a job that most people hate for 30, 40 years to live the American dream, right? And that's why the first thing in the book we talk about money psychology is because what is driving you? You gotta, like, to change yourself and your finances. You gotta understand what is really driving you to spend money the way you spend it, right? And a lot of people don't know is outside influences that really drive them to spend money. Um, like, the difference between buying name brand versus buying non-name brand is because if somebody comes to your house, you don't want them judging you for having some off-brand cereal, right? Like it's all psychological. So once you understand what drives you, you can start making some shifts in your own spending habits. Because it, like I can tell you right now, it doesn't matter how much money you make or you bring in. If you're like the psychology of how you spend your money, if that's not intact, and you don't have that a game plan around that, and it's just you just spin it and you just keep going, it's just gonna be a rat race. You could be a broke millionaire, and there's a lot of them that people just don't understand. You see the outside, you think they have money, when you go look at that bank account or what their wealth or like how much assets they have, and you'll be surprised.
You know, I kind of look at wealth as just a general illusion, right? Just a general illusion, because I was telling someone the other day, it was like, you know, when you think about money, right? You think about it. Let's look at a dollar bill. All right, a dollar bill is a piece of paper. Essentially, that's all it is. It's just a piece of paper, right? But when you take into account that that dollar bill, that piece of paper, costs less to make than a penny, than like a penny. A penny is actually worth more than
Physically.
a bill, physically, than a dollar bill, right? So right then and there, I'm like, I'm saying to myself, right, this dollar bill is an illusion. This penny is an illusion because someone placed some type of
Right.
value, right? Someone placed a value on. Okay, so now if that's the system that I'm living up under, right? I gotta understand the illusion,
Yep. How to play the game.
right? I gotta understand the illusion. If I'm in a capitalistic country, I need to know about capital.
Yep.
I need to know how to, you know, maneuver and finagle capital to make more capital because I'm in a capitalistic country and I need capital.
Yep.
So they don't teach us that, right? I don't think, honestly, and this is just my opinion, I don't think they teach no one that. I think in America they teach everyone just to be workers,
Yep.
right? Like just to be workers. But I think that, you know, our Caucasian American brothers and sisters, they have the benefit of, you know, they may not teach it in, you know, in school, but they have the benefit of seeing people that look like them doing it.
Yeah, for years.
Create capitals,
Yep.
right? You know, for years and years, you
Yep.
know, so we don't have that benefit. I think is when we're growing up, we see workers,
Yep. Or
right?
entertainers.
Or
Entertainers and workers. That's it.
right, that's it. We don't see too many business people, you know, and for most of us, the entrepreneur, the best known entrepreneur that we know is that guy that owned the corner store,
Yeah.
or the barbershop,
Car wash.
car wash,
Yeah.
laundromat, and there's nothing wrong with that,
Yeah.
right? There's nothing wrong with that. You know, you get in where you fit in, right? But if you're just concentrating on making a profit, you will never ever build wealth,
Yeah.
right? You never, if it's just about profit,
Yeah,
right? You'll never build wealth. You'll just make profit, but you will never build wealth.
Yep.
So when you say wealth or financial mentality, give me like some examples of poor financial management, and then tell me a solution for it.
So poor financial management, for one, is so like the way I look at finance is like you running a business. We talk about entrepreneurship, right? And so for your business to be successful, your profit has to be higher than your output, right? Your costs or the operations to run your business. It's the same thing in your household, right? And so like we're going to have things that we have to pay for. You got to pay for utilities. You got to pay for a place to live, depending on how your situation. And then depending on where you live, you might have to pay for transportation, right? And so those are your operation costs of being in America, pretty much being part of this capitalist society. You have some operational costs. Your main goal is to have more money left over after those operational costs. That's the only goal you should have. And so once you get to a point where you're spending and not realizing that you add in additional operational costs to your lifestyle and it's getting out of hand, that's bad decision making. And what happens is a lot of people have access credit to do this. That's the main thing is like we as a people have a lot of credit and we don't understand how to manage the credit. It's because we don't understand that we're not running our household like a business. And then go back to it, like we're not taught to run businesses. Like we're taught to be workers. We're taught if I get this job, I can have this job for 30 years. So why do I care about having $30,000-$40,000 on the credit card? Eventually I'll pay it off, right? Over time. But not think because I want what I want right now, not thinking, all right, what if I lose my job? Or what if I can't work that specific job anymore? Or just not thinking about the future because things happen, life happens. And so that's the biggest thing is credit card debt. And we see a lot of people, and then on top of it now, you got everybody talking about student loan debt, which we could talk about for probably a long time. A lot of people, our generation was kind of pushed to go to college. I'm a big advocate of college, but at the same time, college is an investment, right? And so if you don't take advantage of that investment, just like the same thing with your business, like you're going with your business, you might have to go get a certification, or you might have to invest into like advertisement, but you're looking for a return on that investment. You're not just doing it just to say like I have this business or my business is so and so. You're looking for a return on that investment. It's the same thing with college. When you go step foot on that college campus, you got to put in the work so that when you get out of there, you can take advantage of that investment. But a lot of us was going to college like, hey, this is what you should do. Most people go there and just want to have fun, right? And then we get out and realize they can't get a job because they're not eligible from a GPA standpoint, or they went to school for X and you need YZ to work a job. Basically, it's some professions that require you to have your master's and still pay less than most people I know that like high school degrees making more than them, right? And so it's part of that whole capitalist system. And if you're not aware of the system, then you're just gonna get caught in it, and you're just gonna be a worker, or you're just gonna be part of the rat race, consistently trying to figure out how to get some leverage on your finances, especially in this country, because they play commercials just to get us to spend money. So that's how bad it is. They spend billions and billions of dollars to feed into our brains because again, it's all psychological.
You know, it's funny that you say that, right? I was watching a documentary about television,
Yeah.
right? And the documentary said something that was crazy. He said television was only created to sell you bread,
I could believe it.
right? Like it was only created to sell you bread. I mean, and then when you really think about it, you can see all the shows that you want on TV, but they do not. All the shows, all the shows on every channel do not compare to the amount of commercials that we see on a daily basis. Like it's no comparison, right? Every show, if it's an hour show, it's 15 minutes of commercials.
Yeah, they're trying to feed it to you, man.
Well, I mean, it's capitalism.
Yeah.
Right? It's capitalism.
Yeah.
That's what it is. And in order for capitalism to work, you need like mass distribution of an idea.
Yeah.
Just of an idea, mass distribution, because it's all about numbers, right?
Yeah.
Like it's all about numbers. So you need mass distribution of an idea, and then you need the medium to be able to distribute that idea, right? So when I think about it, I think about like marketing and advertising. When I was growing up, I never ever saw a Cadillac commercial with a black guy in it, right? And you know, for a while when I was in college in the military, I used to think that was racist. I ain't gonna buy no Cadillac. I used to think that was racist. But at that particular time, it wasn't racist. It was just a good business idea because most black people couldn't afford a Cadillac.
Makes sense.
Right? So why would they spend money on hiring a male or female black, you know, actor to do a commercial trying to target black people when they can't really afford the Cadillac?
It wasn't their target audience.
Exactly. So, but now,
Escalade.
Yeah, come on now. Like, that's totally different. Like, come on. You had the girl from what's her name? She's doing the Escalade commercials now, black girl. You just see it. And but I understand though, because now I understand that it's just capitalism. It's just capitalism. They're gonna take advantage of whatever they can take advantage of. So how do you what would be your suggestion for people to be like just more disciplined with their capital?
Excuse me. Having goals is the biggest thing, right? So when we start talking about the psychological, once you start understanding why you spend money, you start getting a hold on it, you got to understand what you really, really want. And so that's why I talk about the book, having like desire wants. For me, I love traveling. And so I'm not going to spend money on getting a fancy car when I know I want to go on this trip every year, right? And so that's the biggest thing for me. And so for you, you got to understand what is that for you. Excuse me, I got a little cough. And so that's the biggest thing. Like, you really have to look down and understand what you want out of life and what really makes you happy. Like you said, that one of those questions you asked me, like, are you happy? If you're not happy, you have to take some self-evaluation, understand why you're not happy, and then what really brings happiness to your life. And then once you really get the understanding of that, and then understanding the psychological aspects of capitalism and understanding what gets pushed on you and not really what's internal, then you start making shifts, right? And so that's one of the biggest things I did, was understand a lot of times we spend money because we want to impress other people. So once you get over that, like, sky's the limit. That's like from a mental aspect, when you think about the dollar and the way you spend it, sky's the limit, because now you're not trying to please other people. You're only spending money the way that really brings happiness to you. And then what you'll realize is spending money might not always bring happiness. And so you find other ways to do that, right? And so now subconsciously, you find yourself not spending money as much, which allows you to do things like paying off debt if you're behind, or if you're not behind, understanding new ways to use your capital to make more capital, right? Because that's, like, we talk about entrepreneurship. To do it, you need capital, right? Capitalism, you need money to make money. So that's the biggest thing. And that's another reason why we're so far behind. We got so many people that want to do X, Y, and Z, but they can't because they can't scale because they don't have the capital to. And so it's a lot of things that go into that, but it all goes back to the way you view money and why you're spending the money where you spend it.
Okay. All right, brother. Look, we're at the halfway point, and you struggling. We normally take a break here, a little 2 or 3 break. So we're gonna take a break. I'm gonna let you get you some water.
Yeah, appreciate that. I was joking for a little bit.
I'm gonna let you get some water, and we're gonna come right back and continue the discussion. All right.
Appreciate it.
All right, brother.
Hi, I'm Dominic Manuel, CEO of the firm ENT LLC, and you're watching the BRI Black Research Institute with Dolores Wilson.
What's up, everybody? This is Trophy Santiago with Hair Mafia Extensions, and you are watching BRI Black Research Institute with Dolores Wilson.
Okay, and we're back. Tonight's guest is Mr. Will Thomas, author, finance specialist. He's telling us how to better manage our money and developing, just better habits with managing our money. So we're gonna bring Will back. What's up, Will?
How's it going?
You okay now?
Yeah, I got a little Gatorade. I'm good. Got to have a little itch in my throat. It was hard to get out.
But look, when you was talking about before we went to break, you was talking about, like, we in capitalism and you need capital to make capital, right?
Yeah.
Now, for me, I think, like, when we talk to our people about finance, we have to put it in proses that they can understand, right? Like we can't come up with all these financial terms and really expect people who haven't been educated on finance to actually get it, because they ain't been educated. So we got to put it in terms that that they can comprehend or even just understand. And I say that to say, like, me and my wife, we had a conversation today, and I say, you know what? If we all just did the simple things in life, we would live a really good life. Like, just do the simple things, like a really good life. And that brings me to one of the chapters in your book that was like eliminating the overhead.
Yeah.
Right? Like eliminating the overhead. Now, when you think about overhead, you think about business, right? You think about a business has overhead. Regular person, they don't think that they have overhead. If they got money and they want it, they think they can get it, right?
Yeah.
They want to go get it. A regular person don't think that they have overhead. But when you really break it down, like you said, that in America at least, living is business. Like, it's a straight up business. You go in debt, well, maybe not you, but your parents go in debt the moment that you are born.
Yeah.
The moment that you are born, you procure a debt.
Yeah.
Right? So it's a business from the time that you are birthed to the time that because when you die, you have
another bill.
right. So it's crazy, because it's like, with me, I'm a graphic designer, and I have all these services that I need to make my business work, right? So I get all these different subscription packages where I can download photos and all these different things, right? Because I need resources.
Yeah.
But then there are some of them that I never use. Like, I never use them, but I'm still paying that monthly fee to have access to them.
Just in case.
But there's no just in case. That's overhead, right? That's overhead. I can eliminate that and take that $40, $50 and put it towards something else. So when you say eliminate overhead, give me some examples of what would be considered overhead in a normal, average person's life.
Cable, off the top of my head, that's the first thing I could think of. I remember when I first cut cable, I didn't miss out on. I literally still could watch everything I still want to watch because I found other avenues of doing so, right? And so when I first grew up, there was no cable, right? We had antennas. I remember going to my grandma's house, like trying to play with the antenna, just so we could watch TV, right? And so what a lot of people don't know is antenna service is still around. Like you literally could buy a $20 to antenna service and get digital cable channels. Not digital cable, but high definition broadcasting for like your normal shows that come on CBS, ABC, NBC, etc. Right? And so that's a big bill, especially when they got a monopoly around it. So I live in an area where it's like only one cable company, and they that's the only person you could get service through, right? And so once they have that monopoly, they can charge XYZ or go up in charges every year. You can't do nothing about it, right? Just call, complain, get them to drop, give you another promotional for a year, and then you got to do that every year, 2 years, just to get your cable bill low, right? And so once they bundle that with landlines and internet, the game was over. And so now that they're starting to get a little bit of headway now because you got a lot of streaming services, but cable is hands down the number one thing that everybody feels like they have to have, which is an unnecessary bill.
It's funny because I say this. It's sort of oxymoronic to have Wi-Fi, cable TV.
Yeah.
Like that's really oxymoronic when you really think about it. Like you got Wi-Fi and you're gonna pay for cable TV.
Yeah.
But that once again, if you don't know, you don't.
Yeah. And they have to sound like me personally, I found we're busy. Like even before I had the kids, we always had something going on. You got like most of your day you're at work anyway, or you're working doing something. And so like you're paying for something that you only access maybe a couple hours out throughout the week. And then on the weekends, when you do have time, which most adults, it's always something else to do on the weekends to take care of your time. And so you really pay for something that you have, maybe you use like an eighth of the time that you actually pay for it. And so it just doesn't make sense from a economical standpoint, especially when you start thinking about when you really understand the overhead that's over here, or when you write down the things that you're paying for monthly, and then you look like, what do I actually use? And that's always number one on the list is cable, because most people don't have the time to actually leverage it.
So when you give me another example of something that you would consider overhead.
So this one's a little bit different, right? So I think a lot of times people pay more, or they have overhead from a living standpoint, right? And so what I mean when I say that, so you think about our Hispanic brothers that come over from Mexico, right? They would live 5, 10 deep in an apartment because they don't care. Like they're not thinking about what you think about them. And like I remember in middle school, we would literally pick on people, or you see them come like they ride it like 5 in the car to go to work and stuff like that. But what they looking at is like, all right, we just got over here. I'm trying to keep my costs low because I have a responsibility with this money that I'm making. I'm sending this money back to my family. Every dollar matters, right, to them, because every dollar does matter in that country, right? That money that they need, every dollar matters. And so they're going to take every avenue that it takes to cut costs and to finagle that, right? And so that's why a lot of times you're starting to see them become better off now because they were willing to sacrifice for XYZ years to get a foundation to allow themselves to do what they're doing now, right? And so that's the biggest thing. And so now you'll hear a lot of people, especially that's in real estate, talk about house hacking. And so they'll talk about how, like, if you're going to go buy a house and you're young, especially like you're a recent graduate, like 2025, what you think about like buying a duplex where you can actually rent out the other half and help cover some of that cost of that apartment. I mean that house. But for the biggest part, I think a lot of times, and it kind of goes back to psychology. I know a lot of people that pay a lot for rent just to live in a certain area, just to say they live in that area, right? Like they're young. I deserve to live downtown, and then like you're just doing it to show off. Like I got this nice loft apartment, and you're putting on this facade. You're taking a lot of pictures, putting on social media, and you're trying to build this happiness. When deep down, when you got to pay that rent every month, you hate it because like it leaves no money in the budget to do anything, and then you find yourself going into debt. And so those are things. That's like the biggest thing to me, right? When I got out of college, it just so happened me and one of my close friends, we got the same job. We doubled up. We got a 2-bedroom apartment. It wasn't downtown like most of the people that moved and worked with us. We lived on the outskirts. We caught the train. We drove to work because we just understood this is just what we need to do to get what we want later on. We both wanted houses. And even if you ask both of us now, we'll be like, hey, we should have probably did that apartment thing for another year or two before we got the house, because we got houses. We were single men. We had girlfriends, but we were single. Like we didn't need a house. We didn't need extra bedroom. We didn't need the space. And so if we do that for another year or two, who knows what we could have done better financially, or from like back to what we were saying about capital to do a business. Like we could have been starting a business because we would have had more capital to do so, right? And so thinking back now, that's one of the biggest things I think of. It's just a waste. Is a lot of my peers would spend a lot of money to show off, or be the first one to say they bought a house or have this house that costs XYZ, but really deep down, like they don't want to pay that mortgage payment. They don't want to pay that rent either.
You know, it's funny because I don't care how much money you make. You can make a lot of money. You can make a lot of money, right? As an individual, right? You can make a lot of money as an individual. But if you're still a part of a group of people who are like financially deficient,
Yeah.
say that. If you're still part of a group of people who are financially deficient, then it doesn't matter how much money you make, because you're part of a group.
Yeah.
And I say that because when you said that you and your partner did things, y'all double up and y'all save money. We got to understand that not one person can't be financially successful. Like we all got to be financially successful. Like everybody has to be financially successful, because what they say, a chain is only as strong as its weakest link.
Yeah.
Right. And for me, I want everybody that I love and everybody around me, everybody I know, to be able to do the things that they want to do, and not have money be an issue, right? Not have money be the issue. So when you hold on, because I got this question for you. So in your book, though, like I think it's the next to the last chapter or section, you give a financial blueprint. Like you actually give a financial blueprint. So is that blueprint that you have in the book, is it universal? Is it like targeted, or can anyone use that blueprint?
I think I can say anyone can use it, but I think specifically for people like the normal person who works a 9 to 5, who is a worker per se, like, because the entrepreneur is going to think a totally different way, especially if they're a successful entrepreneur. Because to be successful, you got to take some risk, and you're not like you're calculating, like back to you said, it's a numbers game, and so it might not financially make sense for you to pay off debt if you can make more money by leveraging the capital that you have access to, right? And so this is for your everyday worker who wants to get out of that cycle of being in the group, right? Of that constant, I go to this job, I like it, I don't like it, regardless, I bring in X amount of money, but it seems like I just don't have enough to do everything that I want to do. And I'm just part of, like, every time I look at the bank account, or every time I look at my debt, it feels like I'm not knocking it down, right? I think this blueprint is excellent for them, because first thing we talk about is the mentality of it. Once you understand the mentality, now you just put the game plan together. The mentality is going to help you understand money. Is going to understand yourself for one in your relationship with money, and then once you get that relationship down, I promise you, every goal that you write down, you can knock out because it all starts here first, right? And then you put it on paper, and as long as you got the habits with the blueprint, you could reach every goal you have, whether it's financial or not. But when you put them, and I think that's what everything beyond finances is. Once you got the mindset, and then you got the education with it, you could. I mean, I've seen it in my own life. It just happens, and like you said, we talked about earlier. It's not gonna be overnight. It's not gonna be in a week. It might not be in a year. But if you be consistent and you really understand what you really, really, really want out of life, not what somebody told you what to have or what somebody told you what you should have, but what you want, sky's the limit, man. Like literally, I'm talking from my own experience.
You know, in all my interviews that I do, there's a common thread for, that's that's prevalent in everything or everyone that I've ever interviewed on this podcast. And that thread is, you say consistency, but the thread is really discipline. It's discipline, right? You gotta have discipline. And a lot of times, man, you know, as for us as a people, we don't have discipline. And I say that to say this. We may do some things and it looks like discipline, right? But it's really, you gotta do
Yeah,
it.
you
you,
got to be at work at 8 o'clock.
you gotta do, going to work, you know, every day. It looks like discipline, right? But discipline is really doing something to accomplish a goal when you can do something else,
Yeah,
right?
when you don't have to make that decision.
When you don't have to make that decision, right? When it ain't saying I gotta do this. So discipline is key, and you can give them you can give people the blueprint, you can give them the roadmap, you can give them all of those things, right? But if they don't have discipline,
You're never gonna hit it.
it's not gonna matter. So that brings me to my next question. How do you get people to understand that?
That's hard. That's honestly, it's hard, right? Because just speaking personally, it's not just like, all right, well, you wake up one day and I got it all together. I know what I'm not supposed to do. Like I'm personally trying to lose weight, right? I know I got 2 kids. I really can find the time. I need to wake up at 5 o'clock to get it out. Ask me when the last time I woke up at 5 o'clock. I woke up this morning too, and I could hear my subconscious telling me like, how bad do you want it? And I'm like, man, I am tired. Like, I mean, to be honest, I am tired. I'm tired, and so it's not something you just wake up you have. You're gonna be more disciplined in certain areas, and depending on what stage you are in life, and you understand that, right? And so that for me right now, I understand it's just not my workout stage. I got a 6-year-old kid, 6-month-old kid. Like I'm just tired. But with that being said, is you got when it's your time for that specific need or that specific thing you want, you have to understand that every day it's going to be the grind. Like discipline is every day, every minute, every second. You get this thought, and it's going to try to trick you out of doing something, right? And what true discipline is, it's emotional, it's psychological, is the ability to tell yourself no, or the ability to say no to something that somebody might ask you, right? And that's real discipline, is the real ability to say no. A lot of people can say no, but how often can you say no consistently? Back to like we said, like how often can you say it? And it's gonna happen a lot, and you just not gonna you're not just gonna wake up and be Kobe Bryant. Like you're not gonna wake up and be this and have 100% mama mentality all the time. But even with Kobe, he knew like, all right, if I stick to the grind, I sacrifice this, I get what I really want. And real discipline is sacrifice. And that's what it like when I think about it, it's real sacrifice. And like see, I can just bring up a personal moment, right? I just got to raise that word. And so when you to that degree, when you get a raise, you need to celebrate it. You need to celebrate your win. Like you see, the first thing you say, like you got to celebrate your wins, and that's real big. Like you have to find a way to celebrate that. And so for me, like the first thing I'm thinking, like I not gonna go back and get that car I used to have before I had these kids, right? But then deep down, I know that car is only gonna make me happy for the X amount of time. This is only gonna make me happy when I first drive it off the lot. After that, now that car becomes a responsibility. I know I don't even wash my car now. Like I'm not gonna wash the new car. So deep down, like I know, and it comes with maturity. You understand, all right, that's not really gonna bring happiness to me. But what is gonna bring me happiness is if I could look up 5 years from now and I could tell my job, like, yo, I'm not coming in no more. Like I don't need this job. Either you gonna work with me and I could become a contractor and I could do XYZ with my time. But look, I got other ways of making money. I don't need this job anymore. And so that's way more important than me having that car right now. And so that's what you have to do when it comes to that time to say no to that certain decision. It's like, so like taking it back to losing weight is like that pizza look good, but do you want that pizza now? It's gonna make you happy for a couple minutes. But when you on that beach a year from now and you taking pictures, is that gonna make you more happy? And so like it's always that sacrifice that you gotta take from a discipline aspect. And then everything's gonna be different. But the main thing is telling yourself no and having the alternative of what's the real thing that's gonna make you happy in the long run is gonna help you. At least for me, it's gonna help me. It helps me stay consistent because I understand me for one. I understand what makes me happy, and I know how to apply that to my life. And if I keep doing that consistently, I see more and more wins. But as soon as I get off road and I start trying to please, I guess, my flesh or please my friends, then I start realizing I'm not hitting the target. Now I need to tighten it up a little bit.
Well, for me, I think like discipline is too technical of a term to actually, say to people, you got to have discipline. You got to have discipline, right? So for me, I think like because even if you haven't discipline, right? What is discipline? Discipline is really um a habit, right? Like it's a habit, right? So for me, when I have my studio now, but a year and a half ago, it was blank. It,
Mhm.
it was nothing. It was nothing here, and every time that I thought about starting it, it was like I put like all the things that could go wrong or the work in front, and I do it tomorrow. Like I do it tomorrow, right? So, but then once I started, like once I started and I got up and I did something to it every day, I started establishing a habit of going in the building, doing something to the building, putting something up. And then that habit and that habit instilled discipline in me because now after I'm doing that habit so much, I want to go down in the building and do something, right? And to fix it up because I know what I want to do. So I think like it's, to get that discipline, we must first just start trying to develop a habit of okay, let's say you like McDonald's 5 times a week, right? Let's say a good habit is okay, I'm gonna do McDonald's 4 times a week now. I'm gonna do McDonald's 4 times a week, right? And then you establish that because the the duty of establishing a habit is to develop discipline, and the duty of discipline is to create a lifestyle,
Yep. The
right?
biggest thing you said was start though.
Start,
That's
just
you'll be surprised how far you go when you just start.
just start. The beauty of starting is because if you start, you want to finish.
Yep.
Like you want to finish. You want to know, like with you with losing weight. I'm sure you have a target goal.
Yep.
You have a target number, right? But if you start and you see 1 pound come off,
Yep.
1 pound, you're like, oh, okay, this might be working with something, right? You and that's what I mean. Like we have to start a, establishing good habits when it comes to money. Like
Yeah.
we really do. We got to start establishing, because I don't even think that we had bad habits when it come to money. I just think that we didn't think about it. We just
Yeah. We just did it.
did it, like, right. And but that right there is a form of discipline, because you're doing it subconsciously or not even thinking about it, right? You just doing it. So in closing, brother, what would be your advice to the people um to get on the track of trying to go towards establishing a wealth base of lifestyle?
So the first thing would be to try to find education, right? And so if you don't have the education, you have to like buy my book or read. Like even in my book, I talk about other books that you should read, because it's my perspective is just one perspective. And that's one of the biggest things I talk about in the book is I read all these books and I realized it wasn't something for us, right? It wasn't something for the people that look like me or the people that spend money the way I know people spend money. And so that's the biggest thing is get education first. Once you get the education, like you said, you have to start and actually be diligent about starting it, right? And realizing I want different than my parents. I want different than the people before me, and I want different for my kids. And so that's why I'm real big in my community. Every time we start a meeting, we talk about what's your why, because your why is going to be bigger than anything you want to spend. It's going to be bigger than anything somebody tells you you should have or you should want. Your why has to be grounded. And once you figure that out, it starts helping you form a better foundation. So education, understanding what you want out of life and your why, and then it's just applying that every day, that discipline, the actions that you need to put in place, and understanding that like the education, everybody, it's tons of ways to make money. And I'm big on, like you said earlier, wealth is more than just financial. Wealth is more than financial. You can have family wealth, you can have religious wealth, you can have physical wealth. And so that's the like my biggest thing is finding out what makes you happy in general. And then once you understand from a financial aspect and understand the education behind it, and you go apply that to what makes you happy, then you're truly reaching your financial goals. Because the beautiful thing about personal finances, the key word is personal. Like what makes me happy financially and what makes me feel secure is going to be different than what makes you financially secure. Some people want nice things. Some people want the $1 million house, and they're going to have to do whatever it takes to get that $1 million house. But with that, understand the other things that you're going to have to sacrifice from a happiness standpoint to get to that $1 million. And so that's my biggest thing, man, is understanding what makes you happy, because that's going to drive most of what happens financially in your life. I promise you. If you can't find what makes you happy, you're never going to be happy financially, no matter how much money you bring in.
You know, it, it's crazy because when you buy a car and it's the car you wanted, like I'm not just any car, it's the car you wanted.
Yeah,
The effect of that, you being able to purchase that car, lasts about a month, 2 months.
yeah.
For about 2 months, that car never gets dirty, right? It's clean.
You out there every Sunday cleaning that thing down.
But they say what? Familiarity breeds contempt, right? Like it breeds contempt. And once you realize, like, oh, yo, I got that car. This is my car now. I can do what I want with it, right? I can do what I want with it. If I don't want to wash it, I don't have to wash it, right?
Yeah.
Or if I don't want to get the oil change, I don't have to get the oil change. Meaning that I'm saying that to say the newness has worn off now.
Yeah.
Like and I think like for a lot of us, we don't even necessarily get to the newness of what it feels like to be financially secure, because we're too busy trying to gratify whatever it is that's in our life right now.
Yeah. We can't
Right.
even think about waking up and not having to work.
Right. I always say, man, I'm gonna keep doing this until my name's on my check twice.
Yeah.
Paid by. right? Like I'm gonna keep doing it. My name's on my check twice, man. But man, Will, it's been a pleasure, man. This time it flew by. We started off rocky with a little bit of technical difficulty, but we got through it, man. And I appreciate you. But before I let you go, just like it's customary for me to ask you some questions at the beginning of the interview, it's also customary for me to ask you some questions at the end.
I knew so. I knew another one's gonna come.
All right, I'm just telling you, man. So it's
All right,
actually
get ready. Let me get ready.
you ready? All right, so what are you doing to push the culture forward?
Yeah, every day, man. I'm big. So the biggest thing for me is I'm a leader by action and not so much speaking. Because naturally I'm an introvert, right? So for me, my leadership style is doing it. And so if you look at any of my pictures on social media, you'll see I'm not wearing no jewelry. The only jewelry I wear is my wedding ring because I really breathe this. Like this is more than just a book. This is like a lifestyle to me, right? And so that's the main thing first is making sure that I'm living up into the things that I'm saying in my book, right? And I'm not just out here making money and just spending it frivolously because that's not what I talk about and that's not what I live by, right? And so that's one. That's an integrity factor is being able to stand up to my words. The other thing is just continuous um, pushing on social media. I got the book, which was the first step. I got the wealth building community where I keep trying to help have more of a one on one aspect with people, and then just continuously, just every time I see something new, like I'm into trading now, and so every time I throw out there like, hey, it's real, like people actually do make money. It's actually possible to be profitable, but just like everything else, it's not fast. Most people think it's fast money. It's not fast. It takes education. It takes patience. But with that being said, I'm going to continue to keep pushing it forward because, like you said at the beginning, a lot of times I'm in the grind of helping people. I don't get to see the aspects of it. You don't always get to hear the testimonies. You get them every now and then. But what you said earlier kind of touched me because, like, you don't know me from a can of paint, but the fact that you got my book, you read it, you loved it, that shows that what I did was on purpose. Like it was a purpose for me to write that book. And so that's the main thing I keep trying to tell myself is I'm just a piece of the puzzle, but a necessary piece. And if you're listening to this, you're a necessary piece as well. You changing your financial habits or your financial lifestyle for your family is going to trickle down to your grandkids and your kids. So that's the biggest thing about. That's why I push it so much is because we want to come up as a people, and for us to come up, everybody has to play a role.
I like that. You know, it's funny that you say that because it's like we I don't know you from a can of paint, right? I don't know you from a can of paint, but I also understand this. Even though you may have started the journey of being, financially responsible for yourself,
Hmm.
right? You may have did it for yourself, for your own life, but it wasn't just for you, right? Like it wasn't. I think everybody is an example for somebody else, right? Like whether you look at it like that or not, everybody is an example for somebody else. So you are you and what you do is an example so that now that people who are trying to get financially responsible or be financially responsible, now they don't have to go at it alone.
Yeah,
Like they just pick up a book because you already done paved the way because you've done it and you wrote about it. Now someone can pick up your book and try to follow the same steps.
yeah,
Where if they inspired by a celebrity, they can't follow no steps. They don't even know what the steps the celebrity took to get to wherever it is they are. So
yeah,
that's what I appreciate about your book. And I also appreciate that it's not filled with a lot of financial jargon like that I have to open a book, then go to the dictionary to try to, figure out what you're talking about. And that's brilliant, because you want people to understand and comprehend,
yeah.
right? The next question is it's sort of three-part question. I need for you to name me three famous black people but they can't be athletes or entertainers.
3 famous ones.
Yeah, or important ones of just 3 black people that you feel that are important, but they can't be athletes or entertainers.
All right, first one, Harriet Tubman. That's enough right there. Frederick Douglass. Third one, I would some names coming up. I would have picked somebody for a specific reason. I'm gonna say Bill Cosby.
Oh,
Before him was Booker T. Washington, but I think Bill, just because like the way I grew up watching, like we just talked about it, right? You just said like how my effect of my for one, my lifestyle, then me writing the book, how it has impact beyond what I see, right? And I
right.
think beyond like recent things going on with Bill Cosby, I always take back to the Cosby Show because we talked about black people seeing people that look like them doing things that we're not typically used to seeing, and I think the Cosby Show was big in at least in my upbringing, because I never wanted to be a doctor, but you seen how a black family could be a black family, and growing up we just didn't have that, right? Like my parents got divorced when I was 7. They both remarried, divorced again, right? And so the Cosby Show teaches me how to be a father, like literally. And so that's why I think Bill Cosby's a big one.
Hey man, let me tell you something. Once you do something, they can never erase what you've done.
They can't.
Like they can't erase what you've done, right? And I think like in the culture today, if you are a star and you do something, like you do something good for the people, but 20 years, 30 years down the line, they find out that, you did something bad.
Yeah.
They try to cancel all the good that you've done.
Like everybody's not human.
Right. I always say, we all know that no one is perfect,
Yeah.
but still we judge people with a perfection scale. And that's crazy. But Will, man, I'm gonna be having you on the show again because I know another book is in the work. Like I said, I'm a pretty good judge of character, but I know once you get your schedule set and your pattern set with that 6-month-old baby, there would definitely be another books in the work, and I would love to have you back on BRI when you do that. But in the meantime, tell the people about your wealth building community and where they can purchase your book.
Yeah, so you could purchase the book on Amazon. If you Google Wealth Over Riches, it should be the first thing that pops up, or you could just search it on Amazon. Wealth Over Riches: Escaping the Paycheck to Paycheck Life Cycle. If you're interested in the wealth building community, it's wealthoverrichescommunity.com. Very soon, I'm going to be relaunching wealthoverriches.com. You see the t-shirt that I have on. This is probably not one of the t-shirts I'm going to sell. I like to wear a lot of things that I sample just when I walk out, just to spread the message. But I will be relaunching that this summer. Everything will be on there. You have access to the book. You have access to the community. Still have a separate website or not. But I'm really passionate about personal finances, and I feel like one way to help pass that message is through merchandise. So I'll be relaunching that this summer.
Okay, man. Well, I'm gonna look forward to it, and it's customary that if you do have merch, you send the interviewer a T-shirt or something.
Yeah, I got a T-shirt for you. I'm gonna get your info after this. I'll send you. I got one. The one I'm gonna come out with, I'll send to you.
Okay, that's what I'm talking about. You ain't gotta send it to me, man. I'm in Kings Mountain. I can come get it. But man, thank you for doing the interview, man. And man, like I said, man, the book is for. I'm gonna say this. I know enough about money to know that I'm spending too much money.
Yeah.
Right? Like I'm not that, aloof. I know that I spend too much money on frivolous things. Like I know it. So I'm not as financially literate as you are, of course, because that's not my field. But the debt that I'm in, I knew, I was getting into it. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like I knew I was getting in debt. But your book just it's almost like sitting at home, eating chicken on the couch, not doing it. You know exactly what that's doing to you, right? You know exactly what that's doing to you. But let's say you had a friend and every day he came over, he was like, yo, where you going? He like, I'm going to the gym.
Yeah.
That's what your book is for me. It's that
Mhm.
friend that's going to the gym
I
because I
appreciate
see him
that.
to the gym. I want to go to the gym, right? Like so, your book is that friend for me because it's like okay, it rebalances, refocus you, you know, on things that you already know and maybe some things that you don't know. But like, you should call your next book "Wealth Over Riches: The Dojo."
The dojo.
The because that's what you're actually doing. You're training people to change their mindset about finances, right?
I like that.
You know, hey, look, man, if you use it, I need
I got your credit.
I need my credits, Will. Don't you just go underneath the radar. I'll find you, brother. No, man. But once again, man, thank you. Hold tight. Let me end the show, man. And I come back to you in the green room and we'll chop it up. Because I got some things I want to run by you, right?
That's
Like
cool.
literally and ideas, right? So hold tight. Let me end the show and I get back to you, right? Everybody, Will Thompson. Look at this. All right, here we go. All right, good brother. I hope everyone enjoyed the interview tonight, man. I listen, man. We live in a capitalistic society, and as a race of people, we have to start understanding that and understand the implications of that. That if we're not being responsible with our money, then we're gonna continue to be in the same situation, generation after generation after generation. We can point fingers all we want, but if we're not being financially responsible with our money, then ultimately we are the cause or of our own predicament. So I hope everyone enjoyed the show. And as always, I tell you, in order for you to receive a blessing, you must first be a blessing. And thank everyone for watching. And we out. Peace.